Three, two, one. Jansen Harris here with the final play on the Just Good Network. We're presented by Your Future Media and Got Skills Pro. We're talking NBA, guys. And the Lakers, they've been disappointing. 27 and 33, getting blown off the court last night. We talked about it before we went on air, how half of y'all just turned the game off or said, well, let me just go watch HBO Max or Netflix, things like that. Kylan, let's talk the Lakers, man. What's going on with them? Are they overrated? What do they need to do? It's like we talk about them each and every week.
I'm not going to lie. It's so many factors that play into why we're so bad. But, I mean, number one is just injuries. We can't stay healthy. Like, we say, like, the Russell Westbrook experience has been terrible, but it's like we've never seen all three guys on the court for extended time. So we don't even know what it really would look like. If, like, those guys never got to get into a rhythm. Anthony Davis comes back. He's playing very well, and then he has a catastrophic ankle injury. He's out for another month. So, meaning, like, maybe he's back for the play-in. And then on top of that, we just got a retirement home. Like, I literally saw Trevor Ariza get blocked on a layup that I knew he would have dunked 5 seasons ago. And then the next play, airballed a 3. And that's just not having fresh legs. Like, Ariza can shoot, but he's just old. Carmelo's hamstring gave out on him because he's old. Like, these are old man injuries that we have on this team outside of Anthony Davis. Like, he's just walking plastic at this point. And I see a lot of the Lakers fan base saying, like, hey, maybe we should trade LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think maybe AD is movable, but I wouldn't trade LeBron just because I feel like that would be like the biggest. Like, Laker fans would make that the biggest deal like ever. Like, I feel like it would be like trading Shaq all over again. But I don't know. Like, it's just so many factors. Like, the construction of the team's terrible. Frank Vogel doesn't know who he wants to start on a nightly basis, and it's like, how can you blame him when everybody's been out for extended amounts of time?
Kylan, before we move on to with Sean with the same question about that move with Anthony Davis and potentially LeBron James, don't you think Anthony Davis, longer career ahead? Yes, he's dealt with injuries, and they were fortunate that 2020 season that he was healthy when it mattered. Don't you think that Anthony Davis holds more value maybe than LeBron James? Yes, LeBron, big clout guy, still going strong at the age that he is, 20-plus seat. Don't you think that LeBron James maybe, and Cleveland, he didn't even rule out Cleveland when we were talking about it, and with the All-Star game and things like that going on. Don't you think maybe LeBron James, okay, let's move on from LeBron before it's too late?
I personally would move on from Anthony Davis because, like you said, he has more value, and he hasn't proven to anybody since he's been in the NBA that he can remain healthy. So if you can still swindle a team out of a bunch of picks and some young guys, why not do it?
Okay. Sean, your thoughts on the Lakers? You're also a Laker fan. You guys going to make the playoffs? How do you feel about the team right now, Sean?
Well, I think it's a mix of things. Pretty much like Colin said, it's about health. Of course, we haven't seen the big three healthy. I don't think they play more than 15 games yet this season. But at the same time, man, look, teams are just scoring on us, man. Like, they're just at will. Like, we got blown out by the Pelicans last night. And I tuned into the game. I kind of dozed off a little bit in the third quarter. I wake up in the middle of the third. I'm like, seriously, are we getting blown out? And it just seemed like, honestly, they quit last night. Like, the effort, the body language, even from LeBron. I know they started booing. And they weren't necessarily booing particularly at LeBron. But Laker Nation, man, hey, although we went on that 4 to 5 year stint where we weren't winning even, with Kobe when he was toward the end of his career, then even our first year with LeBron James, people forget he went 27-28 with the Lakers. I know we had the groin injury, but we didn't make it the first year. And of course, when we got AD and a couple other players, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, we ended up winning the championship. But the point though is, hey, Laker Nation, we always expect at least be in a tournament. And, so this year, man, I just think our defense is really bad. I don't really blame Frank Vogel on a lot of the, personnel because I don't think he was the one that made the decision. And I feel like with this particular team, you have to – it's either championship or bust this year. And although it doesn't look like that because of how we've been playing, it's like when you have these core of older guys, veterans that's been in the league for a while, you have to, like – you're not going to re-sign these players next year. Like, half of this team I don't think will be here next year. So if you want any type of momentum, you have to make a championship push this year. And I just think, man, like kind of like what Colin said, our age is starting to catch up. It's showing. It's 22 games left in the season. We got beat against a Clippers team who doesn't have their best 2 players on the team in Paul George and Kawhi. And it's just tough to compete even against the teams who's trying to make the playoffs. The Pelicans are in the playoffs right now. They're in the play-in as well. And we got blown out by them. So it's not looking too good, man. But I hope we can find a way to get momentum and make it.
Sean, before we move on to Joe, you probably seen on social media the fans going at, I think it was LeBron, and then the guys on the bench, and there was a little exchange right there. And I think Jeanie leaving the game. What's your reaction to all of that, Sean? Are you concerned?
I actually need to see that, man. I actually didn't peep that honestly until you said it. But as a Lakers fan, man, again, Laker Nation, man, it's just expected greatness. You know what I mean? We have a superstar, legendary player like LeBron James. You know, he's having a great season, to be honest. I watched the games. He had a couple games late, you know, fourth quarter situations. I wish he can do something different, maybe more aggressive. But at the same time, I mean, it's not really all on him. He's the last person really to blame. But it's just what the circumstances is right now, man. You know what I mean? We're not really winning. We haven't won since before the All-Star break against the Utah Jazz. And it's just not looking too good. So we're not used to having superstars on the team and losing, I should say.
Joe, let's go to you. Lakers 27-33. From what I'm hearing, basically they're looking pathetic, right? What's your thoughts on this team? Chances of making the playoffs? Is it likely? Is there a way they could change things around? Or are you with Kylan? Maybe they should think about moving one of their big pieces. What's your thoughts on this, Joe?
Yes, I'm with Kylan on this. They should definitely move one of LeBron or Anthony Davis, as like painful as this sounds. And like you said, Anthony Davis is probably going to be an easier piece to move because he has more years left on his contract. He's younger, even though LeBron's still playing like he's in his prime, 37 years old. But like this team's just full of a bunch of older veterans that just can't piece it together. We mentioned before about how there's a lot of free agents after this upcoming year. There's 7 players left on the roster after this year. They have a bunch of one-year deals right now from older veterans that used to be good. Like if this was like 2013, this team would win the championship.
Absolutely.
And like right now, they're just too old. LeBron just can't carry him. He's 37 years old, as ridiculous as he's playing right now. Actually, this is probably the best he's been playing probably since his last year in Cleveland. Like they're probably going to sneak into the playoffs in the play-in game because there's a lot of weak competition towards the bottom of the West, but I don't see even if they do make it past the play-in game, I don't even see them making it out of the first round.
Wow, okay. Lakers, look, big expectations, like Sean said. This team looking to win a championship. It looks really unlikely at this point. Javion, what's your thoughts on this Lakers team? Do you see a turnaround potentially, or are they done? Do they look like a playoff team? Do you see them turning things around?
I was expecting a big turnaround after this All-Star break. That Clippers game, they came out flat. I didn't expect that loss. And then after last night against the Pelicans, no one expected that one. My opinion, they can beat 7 through the 10 seeds. They can beat that New Orleans team. I will never bet against LeBron as far as winning 2 play-in games to make it to the playoffs. I believe LeBron will make it to the playoffs. That Clippers team, barring Paul George and Kawhi coming back early April, I feel as though that would change the whole Western Conference. That's actually my dark horse. But as far as LeBron, I believe they will turn it around. That AD injury will make that process a little easier, I think. Vogel's rotations have been somewhat frantic. Some days he don't know if you want to do the DeAndre thing. Then some days you go Dwight. Reeves started last night. It's just so many lineups. Sometimes I bank it on injuries, but then sometimes I bank it on what route are we going. The team just look out of sync. They don't look really out there for effort. Nothing really sticks out as far as the Lakers team right now.
Okay. Let's move on to the top 75 list, controversial list. Sean, I want to start with you. Were there any players you were surprised that are on and maybe left off? What's your thoughts on the top 75, Sean?
Well, as far as left off, say Dwight Howard, man. I think Dwight Howard, 3-time defensive player of the year. You know, he's been to the finals. I'm a Laker fan. Obviously, we beat them in 2008, 2009 season, 09 finals. You know, and Dwight Howard, to me, he was a top 5 player many times, you know, at least in his career. So I think I saw a lot of some comments saying Anthony Davis should be on the list. Put Dwight Howard in there. And to be honest, I understand Anthony Davis, the champion. He's been in probably top 5 player consideration in his career a couple times as well. But I think that's a good argument because AD made it before Dwight Howard, and I feel like even Dwight Howard now, he's not the same as he used to be, but he can still be physical. He can still give you rebounds and give you some points. So if I had to say it, I would think Dwight Howard. Also, real quick, Vince Carter. Obviously, what's the first thing we think about Vince Carter? Dunking, right? He's 6th all time in 3-point shots. And I understand he had a long career. He just retired last year, but he's a 6th scorer as far as, in the most 3-point makes of all time, Vince Carter. And again, I know he played a long time, but I think Vince Carter deserves to be. I like to see where they rank the other players. If it was a top, say, 85 list or the top 90, I like to see the 2 players, Vince Carter and also Dwight Howard, where they rank them, because I think they definitely deserve some consideration. I know T-Mac and them as well, but I'll just leave it at that for now. As far as the guys left off the list,
Kylan, are you surprised by this top 75 list at all?
I wasn't surprised. I was just more like, I wasn't surprised because I know you have to honor and respect the guys who, put down the foundation for the NBA, but those guys should be left off at some point. Like when we do the top 100, like skill-wise and just evolution-wise, like some of these guys that played in the 40s have to be left off at some point. And it's, it's sad to say, like, I know we can't forget our history, but what can this 5'6" guard do with Russell Westbrook right now? He would demolish half the guys that's on, like a quarter of the guys that's on the list. But going back into who should have been on, who should have not been left off, you got to say Dwight. I feel like Paul George should have got on the list too. A lot of people are gonna call me crazy, but Dame over him is like ridiculous to me. Dame has no accolades. Like out of everybody on that list, he has no accolades at all whatsoever. Paul George should have got on over him.
Okay, Joe.
Vince could have got on over him. Like T-Mac could have got in over him. I couldn't believe Dame was on that list.
Joe, your reaction, and we talked a little bit in the text message. You say you had a lot to say about this. The top 75, Joe, what's on your mind about this list?
Listen, I'm not going to go into, but funny enough, just for fun, my friends and I put together our own top 100 list, so I was comparing it, and there was a lot of recency bias in this list. They put Giannis at 18. He's great right now. He could reach that point, but he's not a top 20 player of all time. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, they were leaving Karl Malone now. They were 2nd all time in scoring. Ridiculous. We mentioned Dwight Howard, Tracy McGrady. They should both be there. They underrated Russell Westbrook, I think, because of how he's been playing the last few years. But the dude was an absolute monster. And the accomplishments he's had earlier in his career, like, they can't be denied. I think they underrated him. Russell Westbrook's a top 50 player of all time, in my opinion. Anthony Davis, definitely. There was an argument over Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis. I still think Anthony Davis should be on the top 75, but like, you got to put Dwight in too. There's too many other guys. I would say probably my biggest surprise for someone being on there, we talked about Dame. So I'm going to go with someone different. Not going to lie, Bill Walton. It might sound ridiculous, but even though he did have foot injuries that hampered a lot of his career, like, you can't play the what if game. Like, there are a good number of players, like, just for reference, because I have my own list out, I have Bill Walton ranked as the 95th best player of all time when I'm looking purely at accolades and how they did for their time. And they probably, Kylan mentioned before, they overrated probably a lot of older players, but they also underrated a good amount of older players. So, like, there just doesn't seem to be consistency with this list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Javian, what's your thoughts on the top 75 list? Do you like it? Are you shocked that some of these players were higher than maybe you thought they would be? What's your thoughts on it?
With the list that we're going to talk about, obviously, for the next 25 years into the 100th edition, I think NBA could have gave us a little more what they were looking for on that list. Was it based on accolades? Is it based on stats? Is it based on rings? So obviously Dame is that standout on that list. I got a name you guys didn't pick up on yet. Tony Parker, 4-time NBA champion.
He said,
champion. I mean, compared to Dame's stats,
Team accolades. I'm sorry.
He has an argument for that. But
that much credit for
he's
that.
a system point guard.
Kyrie should have got it.
Wait, let him say his point.
Kyrie should not have gone in.
I got 4 rings.
Hold on, let
I'm
him
not
say
going to
his
entertain
point.
that.
I got 4 rings, 1 final MVP. If you put that side by side with Dame, and we're making a list, I don't see how Tony Parker doesn't get on the list and Dame does.
Okay.
T-Mac, obviously, injuries. Vince Carter definitely played 20 years. But Tony Parker was a name nobody really said. And, all the credit went to Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and the pop thing. But Tony Parker was great in his day, in my opinion. Patent floater.
Okay. Look, I'm surprised nobody mentioned this. Kobe Bryant, ranked number 10 on the list. Who wants to start?
Yeah. My bad. Go ahead, Jansen.
Let's go into that, Sean. Let's go into that. Is that disrespectful? Do you like his
disrespectful,
rating?
Man. I'm sorry, it's disrespectful, and it might sound disrespectful. Me saying it's disrespectful because those are other legends and greats. But I'm sorry, man. And look, I'm a Lakers fan. I'm Kobe. Rest in peace. My favorite athlete of all time. I can go on like literally 30 minutes of why it's disrespectful. But the condensed version, sorry, I don't think Tim Duncan's better than Kobe Bryant. I'm not putting the Oscar in front of Kobe. I'm not putting Larry Bird in front of Kobe. I'm just not. I just seen too much. And I understand, okay, I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born in 95. But from my eyes and what I see, Kobe Bryant, look, you have to watch the whole game with Kobe. You can't necessarily particularly go by stats with Kobe because, he could be a little sometimes and a little wild. But when push comes to shove, the clutch moments, whether they win or lose, Kobe Bryant, man, it's something. It's unreal. It's unreal. We've seen 55 points in 3 quarters before. We've seen the stretches, 81 points, 5-time champion, 12-time, I think, all defensive. I don't want to get the name wrong. 12-time all defense NBA, whatever it's called. Dude is unreal, man. I feel like having Larry Bird and Tim Duncan, those guys in front of him. I can't agree with it. Even Magic. Now again, I'm gonna let you guys speak on this. If you want to speak on it, I can go more and more deep. Me and Jansen, he knows how I feel about Kobe. You know what I mean?
I got it.
But hey, Kobe, bro, me, man, that's my GOAT. But I know it's preference. But at the same time, I at least think he should have made top 5. We're gonna say, oh, he's not this. To me, he's top 5 at least. And I'm not saying 2 through 4. That's what I'm saying. But hey, that's all I'm gonna say to Kobe.
I got two things to say. The Lakers just waived DeAndre Jordan and they signed DJ Augustine. Thank God we need another point guard.
Go ahead, Colin, with the breaking news.
What do we do? We got another old head. I hate us. But okay. Damn, it made me forget what I was gonna say. I'm confused. So did the NBA actually rank these players or they just put out a list? I thought they just put out a list.
ESPN
had the list first. And then
ESPN made a list, right?
This is supposed to. I think they're combined with both. Yeah.
That's a good question. Who
I think ESPN made a separate list. Like they took the 75 guys and made their own list. I don't think the NBA ranked these guys.
Okay. That's probably good.
I'm sorry, Colin. You're right about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping. Okay, but on the ESPN list, they do have Kobe at 10 and Oscar Robertson's in front of him, Tim Duncan's in front of him, Larry Bird's in front of him, Bill's in front of him, Wilt's in front of him, Magic, Kareem, MJ, and LeBron. Kobe's top 5 all time. I'm sorry.
I
actually think they got the top 5 right, like order and the number of people. It's hard, but
there's no way he's not at least top 7 though.
I personally have him at 7. So he
has to be top 7 at least. He's
definitely better. Number 7. Am I hating?
Bird's not better than Kobe, but I don't care what anybody say.
I don't think Bird is better than Kobe either. Bird is nice. He probably should be on that top 10 list. Oscar Robertson's nice too. I'm not hating on him, but I think Kobe should be a little bit higher.
I think they definitely overrated Bill. I always think Bill Russell's a bit overrated because he has 11 rings and he was a great player. He's really talented, but
they had
other guys are just better players than him. That Celtics team was so great. All those Celtics team were so great. Not saying that Bill Russell wasn't a big reason why they won 11 rings, but they had a lot of other good players on this team. They were coached well, and I just think he gets overrated a bit. Like, I'm sorry, Akeem Olajuwon's a better player than Bill Russell. Like, Akeem Olajuwon is the best overall defender all time. I'm saying that, and guys like Shaq is better than Bill Russell. I think Larry Bird was a better player overall than Bill Russell. But it's all nitpicky because they're all around the same.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. I agree.
Davian, your thoughts on
I just think that people like they have this certain respect for these type of legends, so they get these automatic placements on these lists. But me, I'm disrespectful to them legends. Kobe better than all of them.
I
Davian, your thoughts on it. I didn't hear you weigh in. Your thoughts on Kobe? Is he too low on that list? Is he too high?
He gonna stay too high. Let me stop.
The NBA to drop a scale for judging on rings. I can't argue with Bill Russell. If we're judging on points and talent, Dame has to make the list. But I don't care if we're judging on rings, talent, or Kobe is top 5 to ever play the game of basketball. Anything over 5 is disrespectful, in my opinion.
Okay, maybe I'm being petty. Let me before we go to the next subject. Let's look at that top 3 real quickly. Let's look at the top of that list. We got
right.
MJ at number 1. Is everybody okay with MJ at number 1?
No.
I
Uh-oh.
think LeBron's the GOAT, but for now, on an official ranking, I think you could probably still put Jordan over him. By the end of his career, I think it's not really going to be a debate, but there's still too much of a debate
2018
right
ruined that conversation forever.
Oh, so you got Bron and anybody?
I mean, I'm sorry, not 2018. 2016 ruined that conversation forever.
So you think that 2016 LeBron surpassed Michael Jordan?
In my eyes, yeah. Now he's about to be. He's gonna catch Kareem by like middle of next season. So is there
Kareem's the
a
only
debate
other
anymore?
player-
He's passed first, but he's gonna be number 1 in scoring. Like, is there a debate anymore?
I'm gonna go on a limb and say LeBron will not catch Jordan in rings, and he will not pass Jordan until he beat that Kareem record. Right now, I still have Jordan 1.
Sean, who's your number 1 player of all time? You still going with Kobe?
Next question.
Don't say what your don't think with your heart. Think with your mind.
He said
I used to be
he
like
said
that. I used to be.
I'm
Like
gonna say
You're
this.
number 1 player right now.
Okay. I'm gonna say this. If we're career-wise, man, I'll say this. If we're talking talent on the floor, man, 1-on-1, I'm taking Kobe. But I can get my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour because I can try to nitpick and put individually who's better than who at what. I would take Kobe personally as just a ball player, but at the same time, LeBron has done. He's played longer and better, I should say, at this time in his career than I think anybody else has. So, and I'm not a LeBron hater. LeBron lovers, it kind of annoy me sometimes, but I mean, I can't really say much against LeBron. But my number 1, I'm saying Kobe. I don't care. I'm right with Kobe. But I see why LeBron and Mike's always being compared, but I'm still going with the Mamba, man. That's just me.
Okay, so Sean, you're going with Kobe at 1. Kylan has LeBron. Javian, you have MJ. Joe, is it MJ? MJ should be number 1. Are you okay with that?
In my heart, I think LeBron is just a better player at all time, and he's going to end up be. On the rankings I have in front of me, I have Jordan, but that's at this point they're 1A, 1B. And okay. I'm gonna, even though I'm trying not to think with my heart too much, I'm thinking I gotta go LeBron. I gotta go with my heart. Like, okay. LeBron's just a better all-around player than Jordan. Like, the only thing I think Jordan really has on him is the mid-range game and defense. That's it.
Before
we move free throws, but Joe, other than that,
hold on on the defense because they robbed.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot, Joe.
That's true, but
they gave a defensive player of the year to one of the Gasols. It was Mark. They gave a defensive player of the year to Mark. He's supposed to have one, just like MJ. He's supposed to have one.
And not even that, like all defense teams. Like Jordan was all the way up there. I think definitely Jordan over his career was just a better defender overall. And of course, mid-range game, LeBron's only weakness of his game is probably his free throws. But like, he's just such a great all-around player. No one who scores as much as he does also like passes as well. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I guess on a lighter note, guys, Jordans or LeBrons, which one are you wearing? Kylan, which one you prefer? You any pair of LeBrons? Let's just say Nike drops it off at your house.
You can't do that because I do collect both. I just picked up.
There you go.
My last sneakers I just bought is the Big Bang LeBron 9s. They just came out again. I had to get them. I was a little kid when them came out. My mom was like, $200. No.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I gotta be honest. I got like 50 pairs of Jordans.
Wow. So you go with Jordans. What about you, Joe? You sneaker guy?
You know what? I don't collect that much, but what I do play pickup a lot. My last set of sneakers that just went out were I think they were LeBron Zoom Soldiers. I think they were the 11s or something. But like, I like that where I don't have to really tie my shoe. Like LeBron shoes are good. I think Jordans are just slightly better. I have Zions right now, so that's Jordan shoe. I just think Jordan shoes are just a little bit better, but like no knock on the LeBron shoes.
Okay. Javian, which ones are you rocking, man? Is it the LeBrons? The South Beaches were hot. I never had the pair of them. I saw people wearing they were hot. Or is it the Jordans?
When he was down in Miami, the LeBron 9s was it. They were really it. That was the best LeBron shoe. I tried to get every colorway in that one. But you can't compete with Jordan right now.
Okay.
Too many retros out right now.
Sean, what about you? What is it? Jordans, LeBrons? Just want to throw something light in there.
Man, I'm on the Dames, man. And Dame, I'm taking Dame over Kyrie, man. All day, any day. Take Dame over Kyrie. Career-wise, right now.
Adidas has some of the worst signature shoes in the world. Like
I don't have Dame. I just want to throw that in. But I'm thinking about supporting them. Yeah.
Okay, and it sounds sad, but guys, right now for me, it's Skechers over both of them. I actually got a pair of Skechers. It's kind of sad, but let's move on.
Hey, if they're the light up Skechers, though, those are pretty fire.
I don't think they have any basketball shoes, but I got some Skechers. But let's move on to the Nets and Sixers. Eastern Conference, to me, the way the East could play out is just amazing with throwing Chicago. I don't know who's going to win the East right now. Milwaukee, got the Nets, got the Sixers. It's wide open. Kylan, I'll start with you. Which team do you think will go farther, the Nets or the Sixers?
I mean, the immediate answer right now, just because we've seen it already, and they already elite looking, is the Sixers. The Nets, I always viewed that move the day it happened as a next year move. This KD injury is kind of like mysterious. Like no one knows what it is. No one has a timetable. Like he's just out right now. We have no idea when Ben's playing because they play the Sixers on March 10th, and everybody's saying he's going to duck that game for sure. We have no idea when he's playing. Kyrie might end up playing by next week. They're saying they might lift the mandate, so he might be a full-time player again. We'll see. But the Sixers, they just gave Joel Embiid what he needed. His MVP year, which he's definitely going to grab that award, it just got better. He just got a top 10 scorer of all time. I feel like he got a top 15 passer of all time. James Harden's a very underrated passer. That Sixers team could come out the East, or they could be right there in the Eastern Conference Championship. Just depends on it. To me, it really depends on how the Heat play. I think that's my favorite in the East right now, but we'll see.
Okay. And that's a good one. Throwing in the Heat there. I almost forgot about them. Joe, let's go to you with it. Nets or Sixers right now? Which team are you picking to go further in the East?
It's got to be the Sixers. Like, we're seeing hopefully this is barring without injury either, because that always changes everything. But, like, it's so obvious that, like, having James Harden is just bettered Embiid's game. Like, he was hard carrying the Sixers for a while, and now Harden's coming. The scoring load is lifted off him, and he has a good passer, someone who can actually shoot outside of 2 feet. So, like, I just think the team got a lot better. They did have to give up some key role players in that trade, but those can always be replaceable. And, like, honestly, Harden and Embiid could just go all the way. The Nets right now are just when Durant comes back, that could, and maybe hopefully Kyrie Irving can play again because of all the COVID mandates. Like, it's possible they could make a run, but I just think right now the chemistry between Harden and Embiid is just already so good. They're going to go farther.
Okay. Javian, your thoughts right now on the Nets? They have a lot of things going on. Or the Sixers, they looked amazing yesterday. Joel Embiid dominant as usual. I like the chemistry I'm seeing with James Harden, Joel Embiid, the little dances they're doing. It looks like they're comfortable playing with each other. Your thoughts on who you think is going to go farther in the playoffs?
I like the trade for both sides. I would say towards the playoff time, your stars are going to ball, but it's all on the supporting cast. And when you talk about that, the net supporting cast is I think, far better than Phillies. You still have Andre Drummond protecting the rim. They need a defender. You have Curry. You have Joe Harris, who's been hurt for a while. You have Ben Simmons picking up a lot of outside perimeter defensive, abilities. I think that is something we haven't spoke about. And another thing, me being a Clippers fan.
What? I'm sorry, I just popped up.
I've had my run-ins with Doc Rivers. He's been blessed with a lot of great teams, but, it always comes down to if Doc is going to call the right one. I've been with the Paul George Kawhi, and we didn't make it out the second round. So, the players are going to play, but towards this playoff, it's going to be big on Doc. He has a lot to prove, I think.
Okay. Look, I never met a Clippers fan for real, so that's what's up. I never met like for real. I never
Me
met a
either.
Clippers fan.
Like rookie year.
But yet again, a lot of people never met a Jets fan, and I root for the Jets. So,
I meet a lot of Jets fans around where I live, so they're all sad too.
yeah, exactly. Like, who's a Jets fan? Why? Like, why sign up for that? It's always the same type of ending: average quarterback play or below average, right? But Sean, your thoughts? Your thoughts on the Nets and the Sixers? Who's going farther and why?
Real quick, before Kawhi and Paul George got there, I forgot there was a CP3 era and with Doc Rivers. So I mean, the Clippers have kind of been good for a little bit when I think about it. Real quick, I kind of forgot about that. But to answer the question, man, I mean, I like Javion's point with the supporting cast, with the Nets, because they still do have Seth Curry. You got Ben Simmons, if he can get right mentally, playing and everything. Andre Drummond, you know what I mean? They do have some pieces, and of course, my thing is this: it depends if can Kyrie ever play or not. It depends on that, because if he can play, and then you have a KD, if he can be healthy enough to finish throughout the postseason, it's gonna be a real good conversation, because maybe I'll lean towards the Nets because of the supporting cast and also KD, and if Kyrie can actually play home and away. You know what I mean? But it's like as of now, I might have to say the 76ers. And I said before last year, I said you can't win the 76ers won't be able to win a championship with Ben Simmons as their second best player, because he's going to be too much of a liability late in the game. And Joel Embiid is going to do all he can do. He's going to need somebody he can bounce off of. And if you're starting a point guard is really a power forward who's scared to get in the paint because he's going to get fouled, you can't win with that. Now that Ben Simmons is on the Nets, and let's say Kyrie comes back, he's going to be more like the third option, if that, even – because you're still going to have Seth and those other guys getting involved. So he probably won't even necessarily have to be the third option. But because he won't have to be as dependent on as being a big, as much as a focal point like he was in Philadelphia, I mean, the Nets, they can be really deadly. But as of right now, man, I have to lean towards the 76ers because James Harden is definitely better than Ben Simmons. We've seen him have 16 assists yesterday. That's a high number. I think 10 rebounds, or maybe I have those backwards. But the point though is that he's still looking. Yeah, he's still looking really good with scoring. He lost that weight again. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what James Harden is doing with his weight. I don't know if he's wearing an imaginary bag or not. But he looks healthy, man. He looks like he really wants to compete for a championship this year. So by default, I'm going to have to say the 76ers as of right now.
Yeah, they look smooth yesterday, man. Joel Embiid, 37 points, 9 rebounds, and they look like they're just having fun. The Sixers team, they look in sync. But Javion, you have a bunch of good points about Doc Rivers. A lot of people feel some type of way about him, and they don't think he could close out win big games, even though he does have a championship on his resume. But it was a long time ago, so we'll see.
That Clippers team. Going on what Sean said, that Clippers team, that JJ Redick team, we deserved the championship. We deserved the championship out of those.
I didn't deserve anything with Doc as a head coach. He's the most overrated head coach in the NBA.
Not that one.
Ooh, hot take. Ooh.
Easily.
That championship in Boston, he took it and ran with it.
And I hate that Celtics team with all my heart. I hate all of them.
Me too, Colin. I couldn't stand
You know why I really hate them though? Because they act like they won 5.
Act like they won 5.
They won
Kendrick
1.
Perkins talking trash. Get out of here,
They
bro.
suck, bro.
I think that Nets team lost to the Bucks last year, and the fact we just saw Kyrie put up 38 without KD that Saturday, where he was just
Good point.
Did it by himself. And KD, they came up short last year, but that was a hurt team, and he was a foot short, literally.
And when we look at it, the mayor actually came out and said, Eric Adams, mayor of New York, he said, look, we're not trying to send the wrong message to Kyrie Irving. We're not changing the rules for him. So he came out and taking that strong stance and saying, look, Kyrie, you will have to get vaccinated, basically. So we'll see how Kyrie Irving responds, and we'll see how that plays out, because that really is going to affect things. Because a lot of people, again, a healthy Nets team, there's a lot of people who think that team could win the championship even this year. But we'll see. We'll see how Ben Simmons and he comes together with Kevin Durant, and we'll see how Steve Nash coaches that team. But let's move on to overrated teams. Guys, there's a bunch of teams doing great things in the East, the West. Memphis is out here. The Cavs are out here. Even LeBron kind of talking about maybe he wants to join the Cavs again. I don't know. Maybe you guys look at them as overrated. Kylan, I'll start with you. What team are you looking at right now who maybe has a pretty record, winning a lot of games, but you're pretty sure they're overrated?
That Grizzlies team for sure. And I don't think And I don't think that they're overrated as in like they're not actually as good as they are. I just don't think that they'll go far in the playoffs because they don't have any playoff experience. It's just a really, really young team led by a guy in his third year. And they're allowing him to score a lot of points in the playoffs. I don't know how that's going to play out for him when the game slows down. Because there's a lot of nights where you look at your phone and Ja Morant had 44. Like, he's got crazy numbers. And I just don't think that he's going to be able to do that in the playoffs. Teams are going to game plan for him. They're going to watch a lot of film on him. And I don't know how he's going to respond to that playoff pressure along with the rest of that team. But I think they're good. I just don't think they have the experience yet.
Javian, what team are you looking at right now that you can put your finger on and say, yeah, you guys are overrated? You're going to be bounced early in the playoffs.
Well, I'm not sold on the Cleveland hype, but they're the young boys, so I'm not really gonna hate. So, but if I had to pick a team, Miami. It's. I feel like Miami is running in place. The number one seed, it's great, but if you look at Philly and the Nets and even Giannis out there in Milwaukee, those are 4-2 series in my opinion. They're beating all those teams are beating Miami, in my opinion. I don't.
What's early for you? Like before the second round, or before the semifinals, I should say.
Yeah, well, the farthest they'll get is the second round. I think Pat Riley is looking for a championship. They've been in this, stage for a long time, but that $45 million Jimmy Butler contract is going to look very bad in a couple months, I think.
Okay. Joe, your thoughts on overrated teams? You're looking at the standings. Maybe the record speaks louder than what they're actually going to do in the playoffs.
We already sort of mentioned the Grizzlies, the Cavaliers, same situation. They're just a young team they're going to be good in the future, but they're just too inexperienced right now. And if it were to end right now, the Cavaliers would be playing the Bucks, and they're going to get demolished if they play the Bucks.
Yeah, 4-0.
And right now, I would just not shifting to a team that's like towards the top. I think the Mavericks are probably going to get bounced early. They have a good record right now. They're fighting for around that 4 to 6 seed right now, but they trading away Porzingis really hurt them because Luka's kind of all by himself. They have good role players, but they don't have enough to beat some of the middling teams or the top teams in the West right now. Like Luka can't do everything himself.
Okay. Sean, your thoughts on overrated teams right now? I guess I don't even know if we could consider the Lakers an overrated team. That's trying to throw shots. I don't know if you were going there with it, but when you look at the standings, Sean, what team is overrated?
The Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers are overrated. Oh, we don't have Paul George. Wait till we get Paul George. Pandemic feedback, and they're still going to lose. We don't got Kawhi back. I think the Clippers are overrated. And yeah, I picked them because Javion's on it. No, I'm messing. Man, I would still say if I had to pick, the Grizzlies is a good choice. You know what I mean? But I think even though they don't have a lot of playoff experience, just like Ja Morant said, the fact that they went to the playoffs last year, and I think it was a gentleman's sweep. It was 5 games. I forget who they played against in the first round. I kind of brain fart. I forgot who they played. But I think the Grizzlies, I don't know. I feel a little bit of a Cincinnati Bengals type of thing with them. I'm not saying they're going to make the finals. I'm not saying that at all. But I feel like because they're young and, Ja Morant is doing what he can, I think the Grizzlies, they'll do decent in the playoffs. I want to be surprised if they go 6 games in the semifinals. But if I had to choose, man, I'm still going to say the Clippers anyway. Just because I think, again, what were they, the 7th seed, I believe? I think even if Paul George come back, man, I just still feel like they still need the Kawhi Leonard. Teams in the West are still getting better. They might be playing in a playing game as well. Yes, they beat the Lakers, but that's not saying much as of right now. So I'm going to say the Los Angeles Clippers as of right now, man. I still think they need both of their pieces to be successful. And I don't see Kawhi playing in this playoff season. This postseason, I should say.
Okay. Sean, let's start with you on this final question. And again, we are presented by Your Future Media and Got Skills Pro. The Dark Horse team, a team that we're overlooking, maybe ESPN, Fox Sports, and the rest of the media on the internet isn't talking about. What team is going to make noise in the postseason, Sean?
Miami Heat, man. Miami Heat. I understand. It's I don't know if we could trust. They don't seem like they have enough superstar power, but I'm still saying the Miami Heat as far as a dark horse. Am I saying they're going to make the finals? I'm not saying that, but I still think, hey, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. Jimmy Butler, 22 points, 6 rebounds, or 6 assists, 6 rebounds, I believe, averaging out. He's having a pretty decent year. You still got other guys, Bam, Kyle Lowry, a champion in himself. I know he's been missing some games, I believe, for some personal reasons recently. But you still have that championship experience on that team. The team, yes, it was the bubble, but they went to the finals a couple years ago. Went 6 games against our Los Angeles Lakers. You know what I mean? So I still believe when you have Eric Spoelstra and that team, it's a reason why they're still the #1 seed. No one's really talking about that. And I believe if they get, with having the fans back and everything like that in Miami, if they can make some noise, if they get to the semifinals and it's 6 or 7 games, I want to be surprised if we see the Heat in the conference finals. That's just me.
Okay. Joe, let's go to you on this one. Who's the dark horse team? Who's the team we're overlooking that you think is going to make some noise once playoff time comes?
Honestly, I think it's the Celtics. They've been playing really well as of late, and they got 2 20-point per game scores. They have good role players. They're well coached. The Celtics always seem to make it far. I feel like they've made the conference finals the past 5 years or something. Never made it past it. But again, I'm not saying they're going to go to the finals, but they're going to make some noise. Right now, they're at the 6th seed. The East is so tight. They could easily change that. Depending on the seeding, they could definitely make some noise going into the playoffs.
Okay. Kylan, man, who are we overlooking? Who am I not paying attention to?
Just touching on Joe's point, I think Robert Williams is blossoming into the big that they desperately needed that. He's definitely becoming a great role player for them. But I think it's definitely 2 teams, and I think it's Javion's Clippers. If Paul George comes back, I think a lot of people forgot what he did last year in the playoffs without Kawhi. They went to the Western Conference Finals. If Paul George comes back and Kawhi come back, that team could definitely get out the West. They're still good enough. Reggie Jackson has been playing out of body for 2 seasons now, and nobody's mentioning it. He's averaging around 17 points a game. You got a Morris brother over there that's really good. I don't know how you play Zubac in the playoffs, but he's a decent big. And I think it's definitely the Miami Heat. And it's not for the reasons that anybody else mentioned. I think it's because Tyler Hero is running away with 6th man of the year. Him coming off the bench and giving you almost 20 points a game has really made that team very dynamic. And they got another lockdown defender with PJ Tucker, and he's a 3-point corner specialist. They got another shooter. You got another shooter in Duncan Robinson. They have a lot of the things that a championship team needs. So we'll see. They have an elite big. He's probably top 5 defensive player in the NBA when healthy. Bam is very underrated defensively for some reason. I don't know why, but I think that the Heat could really make some noise out in the East for sure. They could definitely beat the Sixers too. I think Javion was they'll go out 4-2 to them. I think that would be a 7-game series and they could beat the Sixers.
Okay, Javion, your thoughts, dark horse team that we need to pay attention to that maybe we're not paying attention to?
Oh, definitely the Clippers. Definitely the Clippers. It's a weak West. It's only Utah and Golden State. So stop me when I'm not sold on the Jazz. I'm not really sold on
the Suns.
The Suns.
Oh yeah, I apologize. Phoenix and Golden State. Other than those 2, the West is
Joker.
No,
I was about to say that.
I'm messing with that now.
I got 2 potential finals winners out the West. Everybody else is in the East. So we're a report or 2 away from Paul George returns in 3 weeks. Kawhi returns in a month from. If they do match up in Phoenix that first round, and Chris Paul is coming off an injury, that's a series that we might go 7 and you got to pay attention to. But I think injuries will change the Clippers season. If not for injuries, I don't see them making a playoff this year.
Okay. Look, I don't know any dark horse teams in the West. I think the Suns will get back, but the East, there's a couple stories I like. I like Miami. I think Miami is a really good team. I also like the Bulls. I like the Bulls as well, too. I like the baby Bulls. I'm on the bandwagon now. I've jumped on the bandwagon. I'm on there. I think the baby Bulls could make some noise. I kind of right now like them over the Sixers. And with the Heat, it's hand-to-hand. That's my team in the finals. So to me, I don't think anybody believes in the Heat. Really believes in the Heat. I don't think anybody really believes in the Bulls. But those are 2 teams I want to believe in. I'm a Knicks guy, but you guys know how that is. We win a couple games. Oh, the Knicks are back, and then we're back to reality. And
Trae Young.
You like to pick on a lot. How many 20-point leads have you guys blown in the past 2 weeks?
That's a great question. Maybe Joe can answer that question.
That's the answer. Too many. Too many. Let alone 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, and if you look at the game yesterday, I just knew when the fourth quarter came, Harden starts rolling, Joel Embiid starts rolling. I knew the game was over as a Knicks fan. I was like, all right, let me just watch it. I'm happy for Joel Embiid doing what he's doing. It's
they pulled
over.
us right back in. They had a really late lead for like a moment, and then they just absolutely imploded in the last like 6
I always wanted to ask a Knicks fan this: what's the hate on Fournier? Every time I turn on Knicks game, he's shooting the lights out. Like,
He's inconsistent.
Okay, got you.
He has those really good games where he shoots the lights out, but he can also go 2 of 8 from 3-point, probably finish with like less than 15 points. Like, he is just so inconsistent, and it's frustrating.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Knicks media is like Philadelphia, brutal, man. It's like Julius Randle. I'm surprised he hasn't asked for a trade because they'll get
I
into
thought
Julius
they were going
Randle.
to deal Randle at the line. It hurts to watch him play basketball. He thinks he's an elite ball handler the way he plays, and then he turns the ball over 7 times a game. And you look at his stat line, and he's like, "Hey, that's not bad." But then you see all the other underlying stuff. What he's shooting from the field, his efficiency.
Russell Westbrook. Sounds like Westbrook.
Sean,
Yeah, that's a fair point. The thing is, yeah, no, never mind. That's a fair point. I got really nothing else to say for that. But yeah, Julius Randle's just. I thought honestly,
Yeah, and to me,
the reports they were going to deal him at the deadline. I thought somehow a deal with him involved for De'Aaron Fox was going to happen, but then the Kings went and we were stupid, so they definitely weren't trading De'Aaron Fox after the Halliburton trade.
Yeah, that would have been a bad trade. And look, I heard rumors, and again, I don't know. You don't know what you could believe because Knicks media is just like the Lakers media. They start making up these trades. Oh, we could deal Julius Randle for Zion Williamson, even though he's going through what he's going through. That's a terrible trade.
Hey Sean, what was our one package the entire season?
What's up?
THT, none, and a pick. We were shopping that for like 4 months.
Yeah, man, we're stuck, man. We're stuck, and I mean, real quick, I'll say this: 20 seconds. I feel like if the Lakers make the playoffs, I think the only reason they can do damage is because I think if you have, say, a week and a half to make rotations and you're playing one particular team in the whole series, then I think the Lakers can possibly be dangerous because if you're playing a different team, night in and night out, you're just switching rotations. You're just trying to see what works. But if you're focusing on one team for at least 10 to 14 days, and it's still LeBron James at the helm, get Anthony Davis back, I think the Lakers might be decent. That's all I'm gonna say.
So even if they had to prepare for, they're getting 7 or 8 at this point. They had to prepare for Phoenix or Golden State.
You're a Clippers fan. Nah, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you, man. You're right, Javion. You're right about that, exactly. But hey, you still got superstar power on the team. So at this point, we're just praying. We're praying that they show up. That's all I'm gonna say.
We was on our way to beating the Suns last year, and then Anthony Davis went down. Don't forget that.
4-1 y'all.
He was on our way to beating him, then he went down.
The refs might play a key factor in some of those Lakers series. I don't know.
Yeah, LeBron gets no.
That's not what they said. Lakers in 7.
Y'all don't want to play Golden State. I'd rather play Golden State.
The Grizzlies will still be the 2 seed. They're not that far behind. So somehow the Lakers get through the play and they have a matchup against the Grizzlies. If the Grizzlies make the 2 seed, I think LeBron could just take advantage of an inexperienced playoff team.
Okay.
Yeah.
LeBron in the playoffs,
he could definitely outsmart that entire team, basketball knowledge wise.
Guys, before we end the broadcast, I want to ask quickly. We don't have to go too in depth with it. We'll probably talk about it next Monday. Is the Suns and the Warriors? Suns 49-12. They're rolling. They're balling. Warriors 43-18. And to me, it's back and forth in my head. I want to start with you, Joe. And of course, these weren't on the question list, but it's just something popping up in my head. Which team to you is better right now?
Oh God, that's really tough to say. The Suns overall seem to have a better team top to bottom, but the Warriors have a higher ceiling because they have Steph Curry, because Klay Thompson is back. Like, they have the better superstar players, even though Devin Booker's amazing and he can definitely light it up. Like, the Warriors just have a higher ceiling, but the Suns right now are just consistently dominating almost every night. And it's really tough. I would have to give the edge to the Suns, but yeah.
Okay. Kylan, real quickly, who's a better team right now, the Warriors or the Suns?
I think it's definitely the Suns because we see how reliant this Warriors team is on Draymond Green when he went down. Steph has to work for every shot. They look really lost on defense. They've been losing a lot of games to teams they shouldn't lose to. I think the Suns are definitely better. I think they'll maintain the #1 seed even without Chris Paul. He can't come back.
Okay, Javian, real quickly, Suns or Warriors, which team is better in your eyes?
Right now, I'm going Warriors. That Chris Paul is going to affect a lot. It's going to affect a lot of people. As far as the Warriors, last night, 2 nights ago, that Luka, the 20-point comeback, that was very uncharacteristic of the Warriors. They lost 5 or last 7, something going on that route, but I believe they'll turn it around if these teams play tomorrow. I think Golden State will win based off experience.
Okay, Sean, we'll end with you on this. Which team is better right now in the West, the Suns or the Warriors?
I'm gonna say Golden State. Anytime you have Steph who can explode, with scoring and 3 points, I guess still got to take the Golden State Warriors. I understand the Suns, defending Western champions, but if we're saying right now, I mean, the Suns lost the last 2 games as well, I believe. But again, even at full strength, I still got to go in the Golden State, man. You have an all-star and Andrew Wiggins on your team. You got Klay Thompson. You got Steph Curry and those guys, Draymond Green. When you still have that core of 3. Also throwing Andrew Wiggins. I mean, this we're seeing why Golden State is up there, a top 3 seed. So I still got to go with Golden State. I just think they're trying to click on all centers. Klay if he can continue to get back into his form. I know what he did to my Lakers on a Saturday night. He had like 33 points, 5 threes in a row. Something like that was crazy. But I just got to go Golden State, man. I just trust them more.
Okay, that's one of the matchups that I'll be interested in seeing.
Yeah, that'd be a great
in the
matchup.
Playoffs, and we're probably going to see that because look, right now, I'll give a slight edge to the Suns. I love the effort the Suns give, and I think when Chris Paul is back, I love how they play defense. They play hard defense. They're always looking for the extra pass. And look, it's 1A and 1B. The Warriors clearly experienced, got the champions on their team, and Wiggins has been looking good too. I was more of a Wiggins hater as well too. I'm more of a Wiggins hater, but Wiggins be looking good. I'm not gonna lie. So I'll end it on that. I think slightly better are the Suns, but look, we're gonna do this again next Monday. I'm Jansen Harris with the Final Play on the Just Good Network. Thank you, Joe, Kylan, Javian, and Sean Fowler. We're presented by Your Future Media and Got Skills Pro.